I started out uh, being baptized in the United Methodist Church. It's probably almost maybe 18 months old. Um, so early years in the Methodist Church, which I don't remember a lot about it. My dad also taught Sunday school, was very spiritual man, but he got really upset with the church when they hired professional fun, I don't call it fun, they professionals to get people to pledge money. And
Right.
he resented that. He had just started his practice, so he didn't know from month to month how much money he'd have. And he didn't, really resented being forced into making a commitment he wouldn't be able to keep. So he left the church. But he said if we wanted to go, we could continue to go. Well, I was the only one that really, well, I loved church. I loved Sunday school. I wanted to go, but of course I don't know, maybe only 8 years old at the time, so I couldn't go by myself. So my older brother had to go with me, which I'm sure he was not happy about. And so that happened. We'll kick that until we moved. And after we moved, I really didn't go to church much after that. But I would read the Bible. This is back in the late 60s, early 70s, where the Jesus movement
Oh, right.
was out. And so you go in the girls' restroom and there would be girls on their knees being saved. And I was kind of disgusted by all of that. But uh, so
Was that in Kansas?
that was in Kansas. Yeah. Which, um, but anyway, so Jesus has always been central to my life, and the values that when I read what Jesus taught, his teachings have always been. But I've always had a very close connection with Jesus, and that, regardless of my journey, it's the way it's always been. But in my 20s, I kind of wandered more into the fundamentalist Christian church, where I actually had an opportunity to preach a few times. I felt really kind of called to do that, but of course, this was fundamentalist Christian where women were not supposed to do that, and it's really odd. This was a new church started. They didn't have a regular pastor. They get students from the college, and this was in Nebraska. Students from the college to come in and preach, and if they couldn't get someone, then I stepped in until the women of the church complained that women weren't supposed to do that.
Oh,
Which is interesting. The men didn't have a problem with it, and so that
right.
ended my preaching there. But so I just always had this cognitive distance between what I would hear taught in church and what I would read in the scriptures. There's this conflict, and so I would like try reading the Greek and the Hebrew to find out what these things really meant. And to do that, I had to drink a lot of bourbon.
Sure.
but uh, but anyway, so I spent some years in the desert, the spiritual desert, uh, and then eventually I got to a point where I didn't think I could be a Christian anymore because of this what I just couldn't believe. I just couldn't believe the theology that I was being taught. I just couldn't believe in this angry God, this punishing God, that would condemn already suffering people, like, so the Holocaust were going to be sent to hell after the terrible suffering they suffered. I just, all these things, I had these questions, and I couldn't get any answers. He was, well, because the Bible said so. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know that the Bible does say that. And then I read a book, A New Kind of Christian by Brian McLaren, and he had the same dilemma until he realized because the choice was either continue preaching stuff he didn't believe or leave Christianity altogether. And then a third idea was to be a new kind of Christian.
New guy.
And that,
Yeah.
and I said, oh, well, what does that look like?
It looks
So,
like heresy.
yes, it looks like heresy.